So I thought I'd take a couple of minutes just to update you and tell you about the plans that we've got for how we're going to celebrate Christmas at St Mary's this year. Thanks very much for all of you who were praying for the PCC meeting on Monday. Thanks also for those of you who have passed on ideas and so on to us. We had a really constructive and useful time. Obviously, Christmas is going to be somewhat different this year. At the moment, we don't even know whether we'll be able to open our building for a service on Christmas Day. I hope we will. And also the latest news today seems to suggest that it will be possible in some form for families to gather, but we don't yet know what that's actually going to look like. But since the start of the pandemic, there have been three things that what we've been doing as a church have been shaped by. Three aims that we have in front of kind of everything we're doing, really. The first one is that we care for vulnerable people. The second is that we encourage one another in the faith. And the third is that we hold out the hope of the gospel to people in our communities who don't yet know Jesus. And those three aims have very much shaped our planning for Christmas, although we are briefly adding a fourth one, that we might have some much needed fun. That's our fourth aim at Christmas, is to have some fun. Anyway, so what are our plans and how are they going to contribute to those aims? Well, firstly, let's think about how we support vulnerable people this Christmas. In addition to the parish support scheme, which is still very much in place, although I'm pleased to say it's being needed much less than it was earlier on. In addition to that, there are two things we would love to do. The first is simply to encourage every church member to make a special effort to be aware of neighbours or other people who are near to you who might be finding Christmas especially hard this year. And we want to encourage you to be praying for them and to look for things that you could do that would bless them, that would support them, that would encourage them, that would help them. So that's not a centrally organised thing at all. It's just we're asking everyone in the church, look out for your neighbours, especially those who are going to find Christmas hard this year. But the second thing, and this is a kind of bigger thing, we are going to be joining with the local residents association and some others in delivering a Christmas parcel on Christmas Eve to elderly people who are living on their own. So this isn't going to be like one for every person in the parish. It's going to be for something like 50 people who are elderly and on their own, and we suspect will be finding things particularly hard. It's a parcel that will have in it a card, some sort of Christmas treat, some mince pies or something like that, a small present, and a carol service on a CD that the folk at Cornerstone have produced. It's a wonderful CD with some Christmas carols, some more modern bits of Christmas music, some of the traditional Christmas Bible readings, and a talk from Roger Carswell, who's the guy that did the Passion for Life mission here in Nottingham a few years ago, if you can remember that. So that's how we're hoping to support vulnerable people this Christmas, on top of what we're already doing with the parish support scheme. Secondly, how are we going to encourage one another in the faith? Well, I think this is probably the thing that's hardest to do at the moment. Obviously, we're going to keep going with connect groups and Sunday services and our morning prayer meetings, the things that we've been doing since the start of the pandemic. But we also want to encourage you, as much as the COVID restrictions allow, to see if you can meet up with one other person from church for a short walk or something like that, something that you're allowed to do. And our suggestion would be, why don't you take a mince pie each to make it feel slightly more Christmassy? And why don't you chat and spend a few moments praying for each other on that walk? And that's what we're asking kind of the church family as a whole to try and do. Do use our social media to get in touch with people and so on if you'd like. But specifically for the children, second thing, Debs and Kate are delivering some homemade Bible Advent calendars and some treats to all our children to help them remember that they are part of the church family at Christmas. And I'm hugely grateful for Debs for all the work she's done in creating them. They're brilliant. So that's how we hope we might encourage one another in the faith. And then thirdly, how are we going to hold out the hope of the gospel? Well, our carol services each year, both in the building and at Farndon Green, they are normally our biggest guest events in the year, but obviously we can't do them this year. But there are some things that we can do. Firstly, as we won't be able to invite people into our church for a carol service, we would love to decorate something of the outside of the church. Something like having a really tastefully lit Christmas tree in the churchyard, something that people passing will see and will appreciate. And putting the effort into doing something that's visible outside rather than doing loads of stuff inside like we normally do seems to make more sense when more people are outside than inside this year. So that's one thing. Secondly, we would love to use our social media to share lots and lots of short, and I mean kind of less than 1 minute, short video clips of church members saying what Christmas means to them and kind of saying why for Christians, even if our building is closed, even if we can't meet up with one another in the way that we normally would, we would still say that Christmas isn't cancelled. So we'd just love loads of you to just film on your phone, less than a minute, what Christmas means to you and why the pandemic doesn't stop Christmas for you. So that's the second thing. The third thing is joining in with carols on the doorstep and inviting our neighbours to join in. Carols on the Doorstep is hosted by Premier Christian Radio, and on Sunday the 20th at 5:30 in the evening, they're going to be broadcasting some Christmas carols, and the hope is that people will stand on our doorsteps and sing them with the rest of our street. Premier have got a service sheet and an invitation that can be downloaded from their website. If you can remember at the start of the pandemic, I think it was every Thursday evening, wasn't it? People would gather at their doorsteps to clap for carers. This could be a chance for the same people to come out and sing about the birth of Jesus. So we would love you to do that, and we'd love you to invite your neighbours to do that. And I will be sharing with you later on, the links to the invitation that you can download, links to the service sheet you can download so that you could print it out and give it to your neighbours if you think they're not online or stuff like that. So it's not the same as having a carol service in church, but actually we may well be able to engage more people this way. And I think it's the best we can do in the circumstances. We did have lots and lots of other ideas that were on the table, but we tried to kind of focus them in onto being able to do a few things well, rather than try and do a million different things, and particularly to do things that fit with those aims of trying to care for vulnerable people, trying to encourage one another in the faith, and trying to hold out the hope of the gospel, the hope of Christmas to those who don't know it. But I also said we're bringing in that fourth aim of having some fun. How are we going to do that? Well, all those things I've mentioned, I hope will be fun in and of themselves. But on Wednesday, the 16th of December, in place of Connect groups, Debs and Becca are going to be hosting a Christmas quiz and games evening. Apparently Debs is going to be coming as a Christmas tree. I've got no idea why, but that alone is a reason to join in for this. So that will be at the usual time of Connect on Wednesday the 16th. And yeah, we'd love you to have it. Let me just finish by saying, is there anything that we need to do now? Anything we need to do right away? Well, not loads now. There will be more details about all these things coming out in coming weeks. But right now, there are 3 things that would be helpful. The first one is, if you would be able to help decorate the outside of the church, so putting up a Christmas tree or some lights or something like that in the churchyard, could you let me know? Secondly, if you think you might be able to help out on Christmas Eve, delivering some of those parcels that I mentioned, again, could you let me know? It's not just going to be down to St Mary's to do the deliveries. The Residents Association have got people. I think they've got some of the CPOs, what are they, community protection officers from the police to help as well. So it's not just us, but if there are some church people who are around and could help, could you let me know? And then the third thing is, if you're able to donate some small gifts to include in those parcels, then again, please let me know. They need to be new things, unopened things. You know, you can't just give someone an old pair of socks that have got holes in and you're done with. But if you would like to, you know, just get something added to your normal Christmas shopping that we could give to someone in the parish, then let me know. I think that is everything I need to say. I would love you to be praying for this. We'll be giving you more information about it in weeks to come, but there you go. You'll get the bare bones of this by email tomorrow, but I wanted to take this chance to communicate it to you now. Thank you.